It is Monday, April 7th, and welcome back to the Damon Bruce Show. Damon Bruce Plus, brought to you as always by Ike's Sandwiches, brought to you by our good friends at the Dubliner West Portal as well. And it's awesome to have you here. We got quite a bit of things to talk about, which is why I couldn't decide on like one thumbnail. I had to go to with the quadrant box. We had to go with 4 different things that we're going to be talking about. We'll, of course, start with the little Niners and then work our way backwards, because after this weekend, there wasn't a lot of Niner news other than a little bit of a rumor as to what the 49ers could do looking to add to their defensive line. Trey Hendrickson, as you all know, is available seemingly in Cincinnati. The guy who led the NFL in sacks last year, 17 and a half sacks. He's turning 30. He is 30. 77 sacks in 110 career games, and the Cincinnati Bengals are looking for reasons to not keep that production around. And the rumor is Don Atkinson of 49ers Web Zone says that there could be a first-round swap with Cincy going, the Bengals would get 11, the 49ers would fall back to 17. Cincinnati would also get 2 third-round compensatory picks, and the 49ers would get the rights to Trey Hendrickson and negotiating what would be, you would imagine, at least a $30 million a year contract for a defensive end. So that seems a little cost prohibitive. But 49ers, there's a lot of cap space. That's even with a Purdy deal on the horizon. So it could happen. I think it's not very likely to happen. I think the 49ers are so much walking in the direction of getting younger, getting less expensive, that adding a 30-year-old at a premium price just doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense. But again, 77 sacks in 110 career games. You'd be adding a defensive end that is better than Nick Bosa, has certainly produced more than Nick Bosa over the last couple of seasons. So interesting is where we begin with a 49er rumor today. Again, it's good to see you here. Look at all these names, all these familiar names here in the chat. Thank you very, very much for showing up. It's good to see you all. It was certainly a slow weekend around the 49ers when you're looking at Luke Farrell headlines. When you Google 49ers news from over the weekends, Kyle Shanahan was talking about the backup tight end, the blocking tight end that the 49ers did sign this offseason in free agency. And he basically said, look, we really needed a number 2 blocking tight end. After losing Charlie Warner, we haven't been able to replace him yet. Probably shouldn't have lost Charlie Warner. Kittle is really good in pass protection, but you don't always want to use a guy in pass protection that's really good in routes. Oh my God. Kyle Shanahan has shown up to the same club that we've all been hanging out in. George Kittle is an outstanding blocker, but he might have the best hands on your team as well. So just asking him to block when you're struggling mightily in the red zone might not be the right way to go about it. So again, it feels like Kyle is sort of, on catching up to reality, which is good. Very, very good. Hey, maybe this guy who's really good at catching passes should be in a position to catch more passes. I mean, in a year where you might not have an actual wide receiver on the roster, that's a good deal. All due respect to Juwan Jennings and Cowing and a healthy Brandon Ayuk someday, somehow, some way. Anyway, it was a slow weekend when Luke Farrell is in your 49er headlines. With both Kittle and Farrell on the roster, Shanahan still claims that the 49ers could be interested in selecting a tight end in the upcoming draft. Don't. Coach Mason Pline. Coach up Mason Pline. Coach up Tongas. You got a couple of guys who you didn't even bother using. I think you could have used last year. Why don't you get what you got ready to play instead of starting anew at a position that doesn't have much value attached to it at all? A third tight end? Come on. Maybe as an undrafted name down the road, that would be the way to go. But come on. Sounds like common sense when it's not common, right? Thank you, Red Jet. Always good to see you. Hey, I don't know where you're going for lunch today, but I hope you're thinking about going to Ike's. You'll be very happy if you do. Ike sandwiches are absolutely fantastic. Right now, not only is he got a partnership with the Pluce, but look at this partnership. A Munchie Melt inspired by weed maps. When you get a sandwich inspired by weed maps, I think that's exciting. Roast beef, barbecue sauce, honey, and hella cheese. Hella meaning a type of cheese or an amount of cheese. I know if we're speaking Oaklandese, that means you got a lot of it. So a lot of cheese on the melt. That does look good. I don't even think you need to be high to want that. That just looks good. There's some items in the world of you might need to be high to eat that. That could be eaten by anybody at any state of sobriety. But if you'd like to alter that state of sobriety, we're here to help you with that as well. And let me tell you about my good friends at the Dubliner West Portal, who are professionals in altering that state and have an incredible bar in West Portal that is just the perfect place to go watch, a Warriors basketball game, a Giants baseball game, an upcoming NFL draft. How about the Masters? How about tonight's national championship game? All of that is available on well-volumed and placed televisions. That's just enough to make you think this is a great bar for watching sports in, but it's not a douchey sports bar. It's a great bar. Dubliner West Portal. My friend Ike. You can eat in Ike's at the Dubliner and West Portal. So what more do you want than that? Seriously. That is good stuff right there. Anyway. By the way, look at Smiley Dan. It's like that sandwich looks awfully safe. Doesn't it? That looks very, very safe. An incredibly safe sandwich. Like if you're drowning and you don't have a life preserver and somebody throws you that sandwich, you'll be safe. Anyway, again, sort of a slow weekend of football news, which means it was another weekend where the 49ers did anything other than get Brock Purdy's contract signed. Larry and I were debating this on Wake Up earlier today, and I do think there should be a level of urgency attached to getting this Brock deal done. Larry thinks that it doesn't matter until, practice is underway and you really need him in there. Yeah, I disagree with that. I think that you want this guy in there by April 22nd. That's when phase one of OTAs begin. Brock is the leader of this team. Brock is the guy you want your rookies meeting first. Brock is the guy that you want setting the tone, the example for the room. If Brock was enough to re-inspire Sam Darnold's craft, why wouldn't he be that guy to inspire everybody? You want a dude like him leading the way. If he's the most important dude in the boat, he should be in the boat before everybody else steps into the boat. That's the way I feel about it. Get him done. And I think I know exactly when this is going to happen. Again, I want it done before April 22nd. The value of which Kruger and I were just debating on Wake Up. Enjoy, click, and like and subscribe. Jillian and I leave for Tokyo on the 18th. The amount of breaking news that happens while I'm on vacation, it's astounding over my 20-year career here in the Bay Area. It's staggering. I predict that Brock Purdy will get his contract signed while I am in the first 10 minutes of a 14-hour flight to Tokyo, and I can't do the video. I can't respond to the news because I'm going to be in the air. Watch that happen, boys and girls. Watch it. Brock Purdy will get his deal done when I'm in the first hour of my flight to Tokyo. So maybe I'll be able to serve the master and feed the beast when I land. But that's when it's going to happen. I make these things happen. Me on vacation. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing when it comes to Bay Area sports. So we'll see if that is indeed when it happens. Meanwhile, are they going to trade up? Are they going to stay at 11? Are they going to go back? Let me be the first to say it. The situation is fluid. Can we just have this draft already? I'm ready for it now. I think we're all ready to draft now. If the NFL leaned forward and said, by the way, the draft starts tomorrow, what team wouldn't be ready? What fan wouldn't be ready? Good people in Green Bay ready for it. Feels like they could assemble quickly, get some brats boiled up and, some beer, and we go. Get it going. Get it done. Let's go. Let's go. See, Michelle knows. Michelle knows. Breaking news whilst. Look at her dropping the whilst. Damon is on vacation. It's undefeated. It truly is. It is undefeated. As is the sip of the day. Cheers. I went up and I refilled the coffee after a great wake up with Larry. We're past prime temperature for actual sip of the day, but we're close. So feels good. But speaking of sip of the day, among the other things that I have to get into in today's show here today. So when you start an LLC, which when we started the Pluce here on YouTube, we started an LLC, you got to have an address attached to that company. And for the sake of my family's safety, we use a P.O. box, a UPS box. Now, I don't think that there's any real danger that my family will be in because I give a hot take on a team and that really angers somebody and they show up at my front door. But if you don't know where I live, it's a lot easier to expect you never showing up on my front door to complain about anything. So we use a UPS box in West Portal, not too far away from the Dubliner, by the way. It's at the UPS store, and it's a really nice UPS store. The people in there are really nice, but what they aren't necessarily good at is getting you your packages, which you think would disqualify them a little bit. The UPS store, when we were in there, apologized profusely as they handed me this package. And this package was delivered on July 16th of 2024, but I got it this weekend. It got lost in their back room. Tiny packages like this, I do get, I'm not angry, but what was it? Somebody, one of you, sent me something, and you probably wonder why Damon never thanked me for it. Well, that's because I didn't get it until this weekend. Many months after the fact. Who sent me this mug? This mug has got T.O. standing on the star. It's got my logo on it, and then another T.O. standing on the star. It didn't come attached with a name, a note. It doesn't have anyone taking any credit for sending it, but one of you did. I just got it today. From Fort Worth, Texas. It was sent from something called Cool Kids Wall Art. Either way, whoever did that, thank you very, very much. I finally got it. I really appreciate it. That was very, very nice. Look at that. It's a nice little mug, right? Logo, T.O. on the Cowboys logo. Who doesn't like that? Who officially doesn't like that? All right. I should have handled this when I was with Larry. Who's ready to take over the show for a while? This might be the most watched moment of the show because I'm going to run upstairs and take a leak real quick. Bathroom break. I'll be right back. Until I get back. Red Jet, you're in charge. Now, I know what you're thinking. Damon, how come you didn't go outside for one of your famous backyard peas? Well, it's raining and I got socks on and I don't want to get my feet all wet. So that's why we had to run upstairs for that. There you go. Everyone good? Everybody make it? Everybody make it? Red Jet saying, shout out to those who blocked me here. What? Who's blocking Red Jet? Knock it off, everybody. Knock it off. All right. Okay. So I told you that was going to be the most popular part of the show. I think we added viewers while I was away. Like and subscribe, everybody. We'll have another bathroom break later this week. I promised. Damon, I received my D. Bruce t-shirt packaging, had the Pluce logo on it, which was cool. Oh, that is cool. I like that. Either way, thank you all for liking, subscribing, supporting, picking up merch, being a member. Helps an awful lot. Thank you. Let's see. One of the reasons, like I said, I use a UPS box to remain anonymous in terms of my my actual home address. You know, I really got nothing to worry about, you would assume. I bet you Richard Sherman might have thought that too. Do you see what happened to Richard Sherman's house? And this is the kind of thing where if you're Richard Sherman, you got to start doing inventory of your friends. I don't know. This seems a little insiderish, or it's just so unabashedly criminally bold that we're all in trouble. And maybe that's reality too. Richard Sherman had multiple dudes with weapons kick in a glass door in his kitchen, break into his home, and rob it while his wife and kid were at home. That's got to be terrifying. I mean, clearly, no one can be blamed. No one did anything wrong. Somebody broke into this guy's house, though, with your kid and your wife. And oh my God, what's scarier than that? I understand why the wealthy want to live behind gated communities. You know, I don't know where Richard Sherman and his house is up in Seattle, but I bet you he's considering maybe moving now to a more secure gated community. Who would have ever assumed Richard Sherman would be a target? But he was, which makes me think, who knew Richard wasn't going to be there for that to happen? Otis, lowlifes. How can you do that to someone's home with precious people in there? I mean it, man. That is crazy. You know, obviously the people that did it don't really give a shit about anybody's safety or security, which makes you think, well, this can't be somebody who knows him. But there's like a shocking amount of correlation between your house being broken into and you knowing the person that did it. It is rare that some total stranger, never met him, is part of a random smash and grab in somebody's home. So that is scary as hell. Absolutely scary as hell. So there you go. That's what I got in terms of the NFL and everything that happened over this weekend. I want to talk a little bit about what the Warriors did last night because they got dumped at home by the Rockets. I tell you, credit to Houston, man. Houston has come very far in a very short time. And in terms of defensive intensity, I haven't seen a single team throw that much defensive intensity at the Golden State Warriors since they acquired Jimmy Butler. And through that defensive intensity, I'll tell you right now, Steph Curry had one of the worst games of his life. Steph Curry walked off that court last night with 3 points. That's awful. Beyond that, and this is what worries me a little bit about the Warriors going forward. Is there any team that can have a starting five go as belly up as the Warriors starting five seems to qualify to go to? 3 of the 5 starters for the Warriors last night had a bucket. Curry had 3 points. Moody had 3 points. Draymond had 2 points. You got 3 of your starting 5 being held to, forget about just single digits, a single basket. Yeah, you're going to lose. It's amazing that the Warriors only lost by 10, all things considered. It was really good that Moses Moody and Brandon Pajemski decided to show up last night because they were the only guys who really brought it. Or no, it was a bad night for Moody. Excuse me. I meant Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield and Pajemski were the ones who showed up last night. That was bad. That was just a team-wide, that wasn't good. So much so that there really is nothing left to learn here. Well, that is a burn the tape. And I do think that, Steve Kerr basically said as much. He's like, I'm going to go home and watch White Lotus, which we'll get to in a second. And he's like, yeah, there's really nothing. We can, we win our last 4 games. We're at 50 wins. We like our chances. All right. Well, your last 4 games then, Steve, start with a chance to be a 50-win team on Tuesday at Phoenix. So it's Tuesday at Phoenix. Then it's Wednesday. Spurs are at Chase Center. Friday, the Warriors are up in Portland. And the regular season closes out on Sunday. Clippers at Chase Center to wrap it all up. 4 games left in the year. Now, the Warriors, look, I will give them this. They did play an awful lot of games in a small handful of days. So, maybe a little rust, a little need of rest for Steph and company. There was also a little bit of you could definitely have a letdown game after such a big win over the Denver Nuggets, which I don't know how many people were expecting to see happen. I wasn't. So, I'm going to give the Warriors a little grace here in saying, over the grand scope of the last 20 games, you're playing excellent basketball. But, man, that was bad against Houston last night. And it didn't even feel quite like it was bad because the Warriors were off as much as goddamn, Houston was locked in. And I don't know if there is a blueprint to shut Steph down, but every single team in basketball is going to be studying what Udoka did last night with the Rockets and asking themselves, can we do this to Steph Curry going forward? Should we meet him in the postseason? Again, if locking up Steph Curry were an easy thing to do, it would happen more often than it does. Steph is officially at the I have no secrets left portion of my career. Everybody knows how to plan for him, but man, the Rockets really executed that plan last night. They were great. Green, Amen Thompson, Sengun, like those guys are good. They really are. Ime Udoka might be looking to bang your wife, but he's a pretty good coach too, apparently. So look out for the Rockets. I was ready to sort of dismiss the Rockets, but I gotta be the Shaquille O'Neal meme right now. I must apologize. I was not familiar with your game. I'll be totally honest. I have not watched the Houston Rockets very much since, the Chris Paul, James Harden version of that broke up. They were lost in the woods there for a long time. Man, they got good this year. They got good. Look at when you play defense like that, you got some substance to you. The Rockets are not they're young, athletic, offensive flash in the pan. You play defense like that, you're going to be a little bit of a headache. Speaking of defense like that and a little bit of a headache, what a Final Four we got on Saturday night. That was an outstanding Final Four. And we were due an outstanding Final Four. I thought the opening round of this NCAA tournament was a C-. Not a single signature moment. And I don't even know, is one, queen buzzer beater for Maryland the signature moment of this tournament? Kinda. This has not been a great NCAA tournament. The opening round was a C-. The Sweet 16 at best, and this is being friendly, was a B. But that Final Four on Saturday night was an A. And if the championship game tonight is a fantastic game, the Final Four gets an A+. Florida versus Houston for the national championship. The Gators, dude, give them credit. The Gators played one of the more physically dominant, with Auburn matching that intensity all the way through. I mean, one of the best in-game dunks I have ever seen in a basketball game, college or pro, happened in the Final Four. Florida was just attacking, man. I was very impressed by Florida. Houston obviously is playing in its home state. Kelvin Sampson is a guy who's been waiting to win a national championship for a very long time. Tom Golden was with the San Francisco Dons before he got to Florida. Look at how good. We should have a hell of a game tonight. It feels like the other big topic was, how do you classify that loss for Duke? I mean, Houston gets a lot of credit there for making it happen and holding on and being in position. But my God, Duke had one of the, and I do hate the world that we live in now where there's no credit ever given to the winner. It's only blame assigned to the loser. Everyone's talking about, well, what did Duke just do? Did Duke just choke? Well, I mean, Duke was up 9 with a handful of minutes left in the game. And then they were up 6 with like 60 seconds left in the game. And then they blew it. But Cooper Flagg got a terrible, terrible foul on him, a terrible foul called on him when he was trying to rebound a free throw that gave Houston the chance to shoot the go-ahead free throws on the other end of the court. So that was bad. You can't put it all on Duke, but Duke absolutely let this one get away, and I think became the very first team in the history of the tournament to have more free throws, more rebounds, more shots made. And there's like 3 or 4 other things that are, every team that has ever done all of these is like 338-0 in the tournament. And Duke is the first loss in the tournament with all of those numbers going in their favor. Houston gets all the credit in the world for being in position, but I don't understand how you can't also classify that as a Duke choke. It really was. Duke let that one go. 100% Duke let that one go as much as Houston pulled it out of their hands. I gotta give Houston credit, man. Every single time it was, all right, if they don't hit a bucket right here, they're done. They hit that bucket. What I see, Duke scored 1 field goal over the final 10 minutes of that game. Everything else came from the free throw line. That's a choke. That's not getting it done. Interesting. I guess we'll talk about Duke being featured in White Lotus here in just a second. But first, one more note about sports. The San Francisco Giants lead the National League West. Did you just hear me? The San Francisco Giants lead the National League West, even though the Dodgers are on a near damn historic pace. And oh, by the way, the Padres have showed up with something to do in the early going of this baseball season too. The Dodgers are 9-2, but the Giants are 8-1. And by winning percentage are in first place in the National League West. The Padres have also started 8-2. Dodgers are going to be this good all year long. There is no doubt about who the best team in baseball is. The Padres, I think, are built better than the Giants. But how long can they sustain this? And for the Giants, the question is, how long can you really keep this up? How long can you really keep this up? Now, they're going to have the Yankees and the Phillies and a couple like litmus tests. Who are you really opponents here coming up on the schedule? So we'll know a little bit more coming up soon. But there is no arguing that the start we expected and the start that we're getting. And look, the Giants should be right in this thing if Wilmer Flores is seriously going to threaten for National League MVP, right? I mean, I don't know if Wilmer can necessarily keep this pace up, but Wilmer, 4 home runs with 12, 13 RBI already. Wilmer Flores has gotten off to a torrid start. Jung-Hoo Lee, very good. Chapman, very good. Adames getting some timely hits up on the board now. He drove in the game. I mean, look, it's better than anyone thought it would be. With decent looking pitching in the bullpen, in the starting rotation, like, a little too early for the whole like Buster has saved the entire organization talking point that some people are trying to put out there. We're not quite in the Buster Ball era, but it's a really good start for Buster Posey's first year while they still are running out a lackluster in terms of star power lineup. It's producing. And that's the funny thing about baseball. You know, the other team can have very familiar names all up and down its lineup. The other team, not so much, but baseball's funny like that. So are the Giants really this good, or is baseball funny like that? We still don't know. But it's a great start. And you can't be angry at a great start for a team that certainly wasn't built to be great, really, in any way. The Giants were built to be acceptable. And they're off to a very acceptable start. Again, they should be building a team. How about this? Imagine if the Giants actually built a baseball team with a baseline that was much higher than we're just shooting it acceptable. Where would that be? What's that team like? Because this team is pretty darn good so far. Again, there are a couple injuries away from everything coming to a screeching halt. We do know that. So it was really nice to have the boys at home for a week of spring break, but not necessarily as nice as it was to drop them both back off today. Ozzy in daycare and Jack at kindergarten. That was a lot. Want to thank the in-laws for tagging in for a double overnight there, giving me and Jillian a little bit of a break. But that was a lot. That was a lot. I don't think you should get spring break before, I don't know, you're in high school. You're in kindergarten. What do you need a break from? I guess it's the teachers who need the breaks. And folks, that's what we got for you here today. We're never going to beat the brakes off you and try to, hang on and suck you in to a whole bunch of things that you don't need to know about. We needed to talk about the 49ers. We need to talk about the Giants. We need to talk about the Warriors. And now we need to talk a little White Lotus. And then we're going to get into today in history. I mean, Steve Kerr even brought up White Lotus after that Warriors game last night. As soon as the Warriors game was over, Jillian and I, we were watching White Lotus. What a screwed up show. It was a good Sunday night HBO show. I mean it. It's a good Sunday night HBO show. Had just enough intrigue, just enough vacation porn, just enough weird, kinky sex situations baked into it with attractive people. It was a good show. I think it's a tad overrated, but I liked it. No spoilers, Damon. No spoilers. No, sorry. There will be spoilers here. What was funny as cinematic suicide gets anyways, is that in all scenes of the dad might take his own life and take his family with him, he's wearing a Duke shirt with a gun to his head, which was a perfect encapsulation of Duke's Final Four appearance. There's a lot of Duke fans probably on the watch after blowing that game. But it was a pretty damn good show. Again, if you like Wally Goggins at all in White Lotus, you got to see him as Baby Billy in Righteous Gemstones. Even better. The best Goggins there ever was is maybe Baby Billy, or possibly in The Shield. But look, White Lotus was a really good Sunday night HBO show, and I am going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. But like, it's a little formulaic now. I don't know, like, how much longer can they take? Well, you're going to get a new group of socially detestable people, and you're going to put them in a new glamorous location. You're going to sprinkle in the elements of taboo sexual situations. Like, I feel 3 seasons into White Lotus, we've already got an easy to see formula coming. And what I want to give myself full credit for, and Jillian almost didn't even believe me. She's like, you saw it on the internet, and that's why you brought. No, I told her right before we pressed play on White Lotus last night. I asked her, I turned around, I was like, any theories as to how this ends? Who wraps up? Who's the shooter? Who's alive? Who's dead at the end of this? We both agreed that Bucktooth Great Tits wasn't going to make it. because she's been ominously talking about how she's not going to make it through the entire episode. So we knew that Bucktooth Big Tits was in a lot of trouble. Sure enough, she is dead. Goggins dead. The end of it. I thought, I even said this to Jillian before it started. I said there's a major character in this show that hasn't even been identified, but it's being called to in just about every episode. It's the blender. I bet you the blender is how this guy, who, again, he stole the gun from the security guard. The security guard stole the gun back. So now he doesn't have a way to either kill himself or his family. I thought, there's no way they brought up, hey, poisonous fruit falls out of the sky here. Don't eat that in the very first episode without it being a part of it. And that damn blender became a character on the show that was always annoying. And sure enough, he wasn't able to take out his whole family. He tried. He thought about it. And then he started slapping drinks out of hands. Have a pina colada. And then the one kid who he didn't want to die is the one kid who almost died. It was a good show. It really was. And then, of course, they're on the boat leaving the White Lotus property. Oh, my God. And the woman with the $5 million. And like, she was my least favorite character. My least favorite character is the woman who thought this other guy wants to kill me and her son is there and they want to extort the guy for the money because they think they saw the murder and blah, 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 blah. That character sucked. I don't care what they do. Like, go ahead, take your $5 million and just go away. She doesn't need to be in the next season of White Lotus. Jillian's like, I bet you the next season of White Lotus is her opening a play. I don't want her in the next season of White Lotus. So there you go. Sporticus, the delay between Dragon seasons is far too long, losing continuity. Sporticus, first of all, I agree with you. I'm basically out on Game of Thrones or Dragon, House of Dragon. Like, I guess I'll watch it when it comes around, but I really don't care. I've got, I'll watch it because what else am I doing on a Sunday night? That's why I like a good HBO Sunday night show that we're into, because what else you doing on a Sunday night, right? But yeah, I don't, I don't really care anymore about House of Dragons. And there is too long in between seasons to get continuity matters. Kim, thank you. Bucktooth, great tits, great description. She really did fit both bills. Do you think those were her real teeth? Or were those like props? Probably her real teeth. She was British. But she was beautiful. Bucktooth, great tits. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Like, don't tell me I didn't describe her correctly. Who's loaded watching White Lotus? What do you mean, who's loaded in the audience? I mean, White Lotus is a great smoke a bowl, sit down, watch a TV show. Damon, no cooling off period? No, sorry, we get right to it here on a YouTube Monday. Belinda has been in multiple. Is that her name? Belinda? The black woman? She's so annoying. She's on the edge of like always being really sweet, but always being so suspicious, but always being so careful, but always making stupid decisions. But she's finally found happiness with this one guy who's going to bang her, but then she got her money. So now she's not finding happiness. She is, she's a con artist. She's not a con artist. She's a sweetheart. She's not I don't care. Must be trouble. Yeah, the fact is there are no original stories anymore. All the music all sounds the same. The closing hasn't evolved. Think about it. Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of a copycat nature in this show now. It was good that, Greg Gary is Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. I'll take it even a step further. That actor played Laszlo Holyfeld in Real Genius. Zothmus, the Dragons is still on? Wow. No, it's not right now. Michelle Haberman, those are her teeth. I'm guessing if those are her teeth, those are her tits as well. And you can get away with teeth like that with tits like those. There's got to be some tooth to tit ratio that we've never even considered measuring. But she is high on the scale. Red Jet. See why Damon is our dickhead? Where else are you going to get buck-tooth great tits from, people? Again, glad I could serve. Glad I could be here. Jennifer Coolidge, the original MILF. Hey, Stifler's mom. No doubt. I haven't watched a show after they killed Daenerys. Yeah, that was probably the right place to get off. Laszlo sure knew how to win with those mail-in contests. Yeah, what did he end up taking 46.8% of the prizes or whatever it was? Good stuff. By the way, Barry, I thought Murray Bartlett was great in season 1 as the resort manager. Yes, he was. He was very good. Very, get those eyes like, creepy English guy. Yeah, he was good. And then there's this scene. He was just standing up on his desk, getting rimmed out there. I thought if we had to rank White Lotus seasons in order, I'm going 2, 1, 3. 2, 1, 3. The only nice wrap up was the 3 ladies ended up all being nice to each other at the very end. Jillian was predicting one of them was going to be the shooter. But Barry, thank you. Thank you very, very much. And yes, rest in peace, Bucktooth Great Tits. And I think it's officially time for Today in History. Wouldn't you agree? Are you ready for a little Today in History? Here we officially go. What do we got today? Oh, we have some very significant birthdays to celebrate today. Starting with, look, there's a lot of great directors. A lot of great directors. And a lot of great directors, have some films that, how are you going to go against that guy? How are you going to go against that guy? How are you going to go against, do you really want to match 3 greatest films? Do you want to play the game of who's got the 3 greatest films with Quentin Tarantino? Do you want to play the game of who's got the 3 greatest films with Martin Scorsese? You don't want to do that. But the one guy who you probably want to screw around the least with turns 86 years old today. Happy birthday, Francis Ford Coppola. Godfather, Godfather 2, Apocalypse Now. How do you mess around with that? The greatest movie ever made, followed by the greatest sequel ever made, so great that it might be greater than the greatest movie ever made, and then the most psychedelic, messed up war movie of all time that nearly killed everyone who filmed it as they were filming it. Apocalypse Now. If you love the smell of napalm in the morning, you'll love Francis Ford Coppola. Happy birthday, 86. 2 other very significant Hollywood figures in our lifetimes celebrating birthdays today as well. Jackie Chan, 71 years old. Russell Crowe, 61 years old. Jackie Chan, who started as a stunt double in Bruce Lee movies, went on to have a massive global box office career. And Russell Crowe, of course, is Russell frickin' Crowe. So there you go. 3 significant Hollywood birthdays are where we start our Today in History. Now, let's get historic. And if you want to measure up, this is a good place to start. Because today in 1795, France adopted the meter. Do you want the yard? No, give me a meter. The metric system. Happy birthday to the metric system. France adopting the meter as a unit of length, and the entire metric system was based around that meter. So thanks a lot, France. It's amazing that we're not all on the same how do we measure shit ruler, yardstick, or in their case, meter stick. Meat stick? Fish? Anyone? Okay. Today in 1906, Mount Vesuvius erupted, devastated Naples. Little volcanic action. Today in 1906. By the way, if you're, if you like to read about volcanic activity, they're saying that there's a lot of there's a lot of animals scurrying out of the center of Yellowstone, and that might mean that there's going to be an eruption there soon. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Today in 1933, prohibition in the United States was repealed for beers with no more than 3.2% alcohol by weight. In other words, happy birthday, Coors Light. No, but today was the day that prohibition basically was repealed, started with just beer. It would grow from there. But on that note, I mean, it's a Monday. The kids are back in school. Why not? Gah! Just a little bottle pull for you. A little bottle pull. The kids love a bottle pull. Thank you very much, Jamie. The kids love a bottle pull. The kids love a bottle pull. Thank you, Zothmas. Come on. We're blackened. It's really good. Screw you, Prohibition. Today in 1959, the first distinguishable echo was recorded of a radar signal bounced off the sun by the Radio Science Laboratory at Stanford University. How about that? Congratulations, Stanford. Today in 1963, can we please cue up a tinkling piano and some birds chirping? Hello, friends. Jim Nantz wasn't there for that win, but in 1963, Jack Nicklaus won his first Masters at the age of 28, and really the legend of the Golden Bear started today in 1963. Today in 1967, film criticism was brought to a level that it really had never reached before when a film critic named Roger Ebert published his first ever film review in the Chicago Sun-Times today in 1967. Needless to say, Siskel and Ebert would go on to become two of the most powerful men in the history of Hollywood who could make or break a film just by doing this. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Siskel and Ebert, in an era where the critic mattered, when an era the critic could have was so good they had a potential to win a Pulitzer Prize. I'm telling you, go back and read Roger Ebert film reviews. No matter what your favorite movie is or your least favorite movie, see if you can find a Roger Ebert review of that film. And I don't know what he's going to think about that film, but I can tell you that will be one of the best written columns you've ever read in your life. Roger Ebert was an incredible writer and a great critic. I wonder how he reviewed the movie Major League. And that's where we're ending today in history. Because today, in 1989, which officially makes us all old because Major League is now 36 years old. Fuck the curve. Throw him the heater. Major League, 36 years old today. I think it's the best sports comedy ever. Major League is better at being a sports comedy movie about baseball than Slapshot is about football, or Slapshot is about hockey, then God, what's the Keanu Reeves was in it. Gene Hackman was in it. The comedy about football, Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula and Kathy Ireland, The Longest Yard, the original or the Adam Sandler remake. I'm still going. The Replacements. Thank you very much, Zothmas. replacements. And yeah, how can you not be upset? Just a bit outside. The fact that Bob Uecker's not around. Wildcats is a strong contender. San Bruno Mike. Wildcats is a strong contender. You also get Goldie Hawn in the bath in Wildcats. So I'll give you that as well. North Dallas 40, not a comedy. No, you're right. You're right. North Dallas 40 was not a comedy. Necessary Roughness was a classic. Not bad. It's kind of cringeworthy on some levels, but it's also it's good. You know what? You want to talk about great sports movies, comedies as well. There is no crying in baseball. League of Their Own is right up there. Right up there. No doubt about it. It's the sport of kings. Better than diamond rings. Football. Your mama says you ugly. Hey, by the way, Sporticus, Bull Durham, pretty good comedically. That's the thing. Bull Durham, to me, transcends comedy. That's just a great movie. Let It Ride, Richard Dreyfuss, about horse racing. I freaking love that movie, Sporticus. This is why Sporticus and I have been friends for 20 years. Sandlot, great movie, not a comedy. Damon, I think that Bruce Bochy got his voice from the skipper from Major League. Yeah, you might have been right. Bochy. Again, Caddyshack, golf is an individual. It's not a team sport. We have to break up our individual sports and team sport movies, I guess. And there you go. That is today's show. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you would, please. It was great having you here today. It's great having you along for the ride. Thanks to a viral video, which I swear to God is over 8 million views, this YouTube short about Steph Curry. It has been a record-setting month in terms of subscribers added. We just crossed 30,000 subscribers on my birthday. We are getting closer and closer to 40,000 subscribers here. It's unbelievable. This one official viral video has changed the arc of this channel. So thank you very, very much for being a part of all of that. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.